Hello everybody and welcome back to Hush Up and Listen. I apologize, I am a little bit stuffy today. The sun is out, spring is coming, so I'm feeling a little bit congested. But last month on the podcast, we talked about barrier love with Lisa Esquivel-Clark. We got really good feedback about that episode, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. So in that episode, we talked about what the skin barrier is and how protecting it really truly changes everything about how you treat your clients. And this month, we're answering a question that comes up constantly in the treatment room, at the office, consultations. What is sensitive skin? And how is that different from sensitized skin? Sometimes those terms can get used interchangeably, and it's really important to understand the difference because that can really change the way that you treat the skin. And it all ties back with the skin barrier. You're still going to hear more about the skin barrier, right? It's the foundation of everything. So let's go ahead and get started. We also have a special guest today. Her name is Kelly Conlan. She is the Director of Marketing and Education at Rezenerate. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so what is sensitive skin? Sensitive skin, here at Hail and Hush, we at least consider it a skin type. And it's something that a person is typically predisposed to. So they have experienced it for most of their life. It can be genetic, it can also be linked to certain skin conditions like rosacea, eczema, or even chronic inflammation. So true sensitive skin often has a heightened reactivity to certain things, a thinner barrier function, a stronger inflammatory response, and consistent redness or flushing. So it's not occasional, it's not seasonal, it's an ongoing thing that certain individuals battle throughout their life, and it really requires long-term strategy and lots of holistic healing to figure out the root cause of the sensitivity and how to manage it. Now, sensitized skin, it's more of a condition. It's very temporary, and a lot of the time it's self-induced. There's lots of overexfoliation going on, too many active layers put together. Sometimes people jump and hop on different trends, or they get too many different treatments done in a short amount of time. So sensitized skin might feel similar to sensitive skin, but it does feel pretty tight. There's some stinging involved. It's very suddenly reactive, like it never has been before, and you experience dryness and oiliness at the same time. The key difference here between sensitive and sensitized skin is that sensitized skin can recover if the barrier is supported properly, but true sensitive skin really requires a lifelong and long-term approach to strengthening that skin barrier, reducing inflammation, reducing irritation and redness. And the difference really does matter because if we treat sensitive skin like it's just sensitized, we can sometimes push the skin too far. And if we treat sensitized skin like it's genetically sensitive, we may even undertreat it long term. So knowing your client and the true skin type and the conditions you're working with are going to help you with product selection, treatment, intensity, client education, and even expectations to set with yourself and your client. And this is why here at Hail and Hush, we focus exclusively on sensitive and health challenged skin because it matters. It matters who and what you're working with in the treatment room. So I'm going to expand on this conversation. I'm going to bring in our guest, Kelly. Again, she is the Director of Marketing and Education for Rezenerate Nanofacial. If you haven't heard about Rezenerate, you have to check them out. They focus on nano infusion. So we'll dive a little bit more into that talking to Kelly, but she is an esthetician with over 17 years of experience. And she is the founder of Retrograde Skin in Glen Mills, PA. She is known for her advanced treatment approach and straightforward education style. She also works with estheticians across the industry to improve results, elevate treatments, and also build thriving practices. So, welcome, Kelly.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's 10 a.m. I feel like I should be awake, but I'm not really. But today we're talking about sensitive skin, the differences between sensitive and sensitized skin. So, how would you personally define sensitive skin in your own words?
Well, I would definitely start off by saying sensitive skin, truly sensitive skin is more rare than people think. So it's for sure something that is more genetic, something that is kind of like chronic, that they an underlying condition in the body or something. Thinking of like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, like conditions like that can have sensitive skin associated with it. So I would say more of a genetic condition, more of a chronic state, not something that is recent or just kind of happened out of nowhere, something that someone's been dealing with long term. And in terms of kind of the skin, what does that look like? What does it experience? For sure, the skin barrier is definitely not as healthy. It's more reactive. There's like sometimes a little bit more nerve sensitivity in there. So it's hard to define, but I would say it encompasses a lot of what I mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. So sensitive skin is, say, someone has been dealing with rosacea for most of their life. That could technically be considered sensitive skin, right?
Exactly.
And sensitized skin is something more temporary. And so a lot of times, how do you see more sensitized skin showing up in a treatment room?
So this is really what I mainly see. In my younger clients, for sure, it's more of, like self-inflicted. I had one poor client come in and he saw that like charcoal masks were really good for breakouts, and he had really actually like very minimal breakouts. And so he decided he was going to use a pretty harsh charcoal mask every day. Yes, so he really disrupted his barrier. I have other clients. There's one skincare line that I'm not going to name, but I've
Mm-hmm.
had repeated clients come in, and I don't know if it's the line itself, but I would say the instructions that they have been given with this line is very much like use this physical scrub that has gentle AHAs in it daily, twice daily if you can. So just, you know, I've just very, kind of questionable things. Otherwise, when it's not really like, someone isn't as active in sensitizing their skin, just people kind of being a little out of touch with skin maintenance and just getting really dry. Maybe they're around harsh kind of environments in their work and they're not really like caring for their skin in a proper way after that. Things like that.
Yeah. And I think it really just boils down to lack of client education and how
Hmm.
to properly use products. I wonder why. Do you think there's maybe an educational gap with providers or professionals giving these products to clients without telling them how to properly use it? I wonder where, there's like a shortfall in that.
Yeah. The one situation that I have come into a couple times, it was actually the education, it was the instructions provided by the manufacturer. So I
Oh.
do feel like there was a gap, kind of as you said, because immediately upon hearing those instructions, it was red flags for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that must have been missing for them, that
Mm-hmm.
red flag, that alarm. I'm not sure. But I definitely know that in Pennsylvania, we really have very little hours for education. I think it's like 300 or 350. It's one of
Yeah.
the lower states. And I definitely see a real gap. In school, we didn't talk about sensitive skin really, like really. Of course, you learn the definitions of skin conditions and things like that. You learn about the lesions, but it was very much in like a flashcard kind of manner where it wasn't like, let's really get into what's going on and understanding sensitive skin. So I think, at least in Pennsylvania for sure, estheticians are coming out of school with not a lot of knowledge about sensitive skin or sensitized.
Yeah. And then you get into the treatment room, and you have, in my experience, a lot of clients with sensitive or sensitized skin. And a lot of times professionals don't really know how to approach it. So, what mistakes do you typically see with professionals trying to treat any reactive skin?
Sometimes they just are really doing too much and in too short of a time. When we're in that reactive state and that sensitized state, that needs to be the first thing that we address. And sometimes people kind of want to look at the skin maybe as a whole. Oh, there's a little bit of pigmentation here. Maybe there's some other thing here, and I want to put in this active or that active. And I think we're not ready for that at that time. When we're sensitized, I think we really have to kind of strip that routine completely back. And of course, Hale and Hush is the product line that I always reach to. And it is that trifecta typically of the Quiet Wash, the Hush Hydrate, and the Relief Bio Powder. But even without those products at my disposal, I would really just extremely limit that routine. And I think a lot of estheticians aren't. They're kind of doing, instead of, barrier supportive treatments that are addressing inflammation and trying to, reestablish and strengthen the skin, they're just trying to address too many issues at once and don't realize the damage of the actives that they are adding at that time when the client's already in an inflammatory state.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that a lot of times we want to please the client, right? We want to make sure that they get instant results like they're expecting. But I think it's important to be the professional and take a step back and say, "Hey, this is what I see. This is how I think we need to treat the skin today, but we can definitely get you those results later on."
Yeah.
So I think there's always that fear with actually telling the client that they didn't come in for the treatment they expected because their skin looks this way.
Absolutely, absolutely. In addition to the products, kind of get into their lifestyle habits and really look for those factors that cause the issue in the first place, and not just go right to the product shelf and start to pick up the products. So depending on how, adventurous the client may have been with their skincare, sometimes not only do I eliminate everything at once, but I'll only introduce one active at a time as I start to build up their routine and continue to see them.
And do you have tips on how to acclimate certain products or ingredients into the skin?
I would say when we're looking at specific actives, you have to be mindful of more than just the ingredient itself. AHAs, I think, are a really great example. There's different molecular weights. There's various percentages in the different formulas. I think it's really important to be mindful of those. The pH of the products. Sometimes, we're just picking up certain, serums off the shelf, and we're not really thinking about like what is the pH of this product. I think that is really important, especially with skin that's already kind of inflamed and sensitized. So I also think the form of the ingredients can be really important. Just thinking about like a vitamin C, for example. Sometimes there's forms that can be really irritating. And I know a lot of clients I've had tell me, oh, I can't even use vitamin C. And they absolutely can. And it'll be a wonderful addition to their
Mm-hmm.
routine. But the form that they were working with was not right for their skin. So I think being just really informed and educated on the products
Mm-hmm.
is super important in deciding what is going to be best for them.
I think that's one of the best parts about Hale and Hush is not only do we provide our product knowledge class, but we have our product data sheets. We have our material safety data sheets, all accessible to professionals if you have an account with us. And that's a moment for you guys to really like sit down, look at each product, what goes into the formulation and how it could potentially affect the skin. We even have our pHs listed on there. So, Kelly, how long have you been using Hale and Hush in your space?
My space is newer, so the whole time I've been in my space, I've always had Hale and Hush there. But I've used Hale and Hush, I want to say since maybe 2018, definitely by 2019.
Awesome. And how did you come about us? Did you just see us at a trade show or like
When I was on the esthetician connection page, is when I really got to experience Hale and Hush. As you know, Chris is an extremely generous person. Just really wanted just such a huge heart and just very generous. And so when I started, or soon after, she sent me like a little care package of Hale and Hush products, so I could really just experience the line and get my hands on the different products. Um, and so that was really my introduction, and it was love at first pump.
love at first pump? Wait, I really love that phrase. I've never heard that ever in the industry.
It just came out because it was true. It was true.
And so you're the director of marketing and education for Rezenerate. Could you talk a little bit more about Rezenerate? Because I feel like, a lot of people understand microneedling and microchanneling, but what makes Rezenerate so different from other devices in the industry?
Yes, absolutely. So often confused with microneedling and microchanneling, which, associated with a little bit of trauma, they are. And their goal is more focused on creating a little bit of a controlled injury, or a lot of it, depending on the depth, but creating a controlled injury so we can trigger that wound cascade and stimulate collagen and elastin, so that is going to help produce the body's healing process, is going to help us produce a cosmetic result. Rezenerate is not about creating any injury, and it doesn't create any injury. There's no puncture or any breaking of the skin. What it does is it only works within the stratum corneum, and it just gently conditions the stratum corneum to transform that barrier into a sponge for about a 15 to 20-minute period. So, our barrier is very important, as we kind of already touched on a little bit already. And so we wanted it to be something that was very barrier supportive. And the problem is with the barrier is that it limits the amount of skin care ingredients that we can get into the skin. So the goal with Rezenerate was really about increasing the delivery while respecting the barrier, and doing so in a very low inflammatory situation. Because for us, it was really about skin health and also about being an esthetician's tool. So staying within that stratum corneum, just working on that outer layer is typically something that is in scope for estheticians, but then also giving them the ability to dramatically increase the delivery of the product. So it's usually about 2 to 10% topical absorption. When you incorporate Rezenerate, that increases to about 40 to 60%. So just a gigantic delivery of ingredients in that one treatment setting. So it's very comfortable, no downtime, and can really improve the results that clients receive in one treatment, but also help shorten the amount of time it will take to achieve their end goal, or reduce the number of treatments it would take.
Yes, I love everything that you just said. I mean, I've taken the trainings, I have the device, and I was just so blown away with how easy it is to use, but also just the fact that there's no downtime, like you said. It's very non-invasive. It's just on the epidermis, the stratum corneum, and I love that you guys made it an esthetician tool. Like, I love the way that you worded it, because I feel like a lot of times we can be so limited, especially if we don't have, say, a medical director or anything like that. So I love everything about the Rezenerate device. And would you say that you could definitely incorporate this for someone who has sensitive skin? Could you eventually incorporate the device or nano infusion for a sensitive client?
Absolutely. It is about timing. And a lot of times what I tell people is, depending on the specific skin condition, we're never going to regenerate over a compromised barrier. So if the barrier is not in a healthy state, it's already probably it's disarmed. That barrier function is already disrupted and disarmed. So there's no benefit to create further disruption with Rezenerate. And at that time, it would contribute to inflammation in a way that it does it on a strong and healthy barrier. So we definitely need to make sure that when we're working with a sensitive skin, we're improving the condition and the health of that barrier. So, for example, someone with rosacea, if they're flared up, if they're in an inflamed state, or they have a really high grade of rosacea, I'm not going to use Rezenerate at that time. But if we can get them on a good program and we can, make it so they're in a stable state that's not in, experiencing any flare up or additional inflammation, if we can, get that rosacea to a point where it's more mild or moderate instead of high level, then we can incorporate the Rezenerate. It's again only working within that stratum corneum, so it really shouldn't contribute to the rosacea in any way. It's not creating any or a significant amount of inflammation. And we are going to address that inflammation in the protocol, which is why we always incorporate cold therapy, just in case there is, any triggering of that during the process. We help to always manage that with the cold therapy at the end. So I would say working with your client who has sensitive skin, getting them to a stable state, it can be really beneficial to incorporate Rezenerate. Using that rosacea example, getting ingredients that are going to support the vascular nature of the skin is going to be great for them. So if we can get them more of ingredients that are going to be anti-inflammatory, that are going to support, their vascular health, that is going to benefit them in their treatment. But we really need to make sure that we're doing it at the right time.
So you talk about inflammation a lot. How would you say inflammation plays into both sensitive and sensitized skin? That might be a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah, I would say one is more of a chronic inflammation and one is more of acute, temporary based. I feel like with sensitive skin, you're probably always going to be dealing with some level of inflammation, or you should maybe be prepared during treatment for them to respond in a way that, is a little bit more, they may experience a little bit more redness, a little bit more inflammation than somebody who has a healthier barrier, or just healthier skin in general. But I would say with sensitive skin, I feel like it's a little bit of a roller coaster, because they always have that kind of underlying factor of,
Mm-hmm.
that condition that contributes to the sensitive skin. But then there's so many other factors in life, like environment, stress, hormonal states, all those different things. So always inflammation with the sensitive skin, but kind of in like a roller coaster and up and down depending on different things in their life. Where with the sensitized skin, it can really be a moment depending on how they respond to it. And especially if they seek the help of an esthetician, they can really manage that inflammation and get it under control and probably not experience it again if they're on the right path.
Yeah, I definitely think inflammation is manageable if you have the right tools and the right education. Are there any specific ingredients that you like to work with or that you've noticed sensitive skin might struggle with more?
For sensitive skin, I love the anti-inflammatory ingredients. Azelaic acid is one of my favorites for sensitive skin or sensitized skin.
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I love azelaic acid. I feel like it's kind of an underdog. Like it's not as
Yes.
popular to talk about, but like there's only a few serums out there that I really love that have azelaic acid. I think maybe two
Yeah.
that I've found, but that's one of my favorite ingredients lately. So I'd love to hear more about that.
I just have seen and experienced that it can be very helpful for redness and for helping reduce inflammation. At first, it was something that I was putting into or recommending for people's acne routine. When I wasn't as informed on the ingredient, I didn't realize it could be pulled into other conditions besides acne, and that it had a much broader scope of ability to improve various skin types beyond acne. But that was kind of how I had found the ingredient, was looking at different cocktails of ingredients for working with acne and breakouts, and azelaic was showing up in among the list of the other players, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty interested in this. But I think it's wonderful for inflammation. It really helps with redness. I just think it really helps to balance the skin. Just it really it's tried and true.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, an unsung hero.
Yeah.
I love vitamin K also.
Okay. Yeah.
Love vitamin K. Yeah. Vitamin E has always been a favorite. I always have loved arnica as well. A lot of different ingredients, all the anti-inflammatory, like licorice, so good. Yeah.
And most sensitive clients that I've dealt with just struggle a little bit more with maybe things like salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, glycolic acid, a lot of your heavy hitters. So
Yeah.
I think that you
Fragrance.
eventually, yep, fragrance. I think you could definitely rebuild the barrier to slowly acclimate the client's skin to eventually use that. But kind of like we just discussed, there's a lot of unsung heroes out there. Like, you don't have to use the heavy hitters sometimes. You can opt for azelaic acid. I mean, I know azelaic acid is also good for rosacea prone skin. So you don't have to use benzoyl peroxide. You don't have to use glycolic acid. There's a lot of anti-inflammatory options out there.
I really use those two so infrequently. At
Benzoyl
least,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I have glycolic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't reach for it often, but I do
Yeah.
like it. I like it. I respect it. But it's for sure not something that I'm grabbing all the time. And
Yeah.
if it's in my serums, it's not the star of the show like it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a time and place for those, but
Mm-hmm.
I found myself not even really leaning towards those anymore.
Mm-mm.
I think the industry's really changed. I think people are starting to become more aware of the skin barrier, which is
Yeah.
like the whole basis and foundation of what we do, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots of options out there, and I encourage people out there to really look at your ingredients, look at the formulations that the companies or brands that you work with are producing out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because acne is kind of the same thing. I do very much treat it like I treat sensitive or sensitized skin.
yeah.
I think a lot of people will go for like a ton of actives right away. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people have already done the damage. They've already,
Mm-hmm.
played around before they've come to me. So I'm like stripping their full routine, and then
Yeah.
like kind of like said, I'm like, let's just get you on anti-inflammatories. Let's get the barrier under support or under, good condition. And then maybe we can talk about some of these other actives for acne. But I'm definitely not starting a bunch of people with actives when people come in and they're struggling with acne.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite protocol? I think you guys have a bundle with us
Mm-hmm.
currently, the Hail and Hush Rezenerate bundle. Is there a favorite protocol that you like to do? Maybe a certain Hail and Hush serum that you like to infuse into the skin?
You know what? I just love Mandelic. So the rare Mandelic is top of mind, top of list with Hale and Hush. But honestly, so we do a lot of trade shows, and so at the trade shows, we are treating people like one after the other. We've used a lot of different lines at the trade shows, and I will say, just one of my favorite protocols at the trade show is just either Sooth Essence or Rare C, and doing the Rezenerate with those with the high res glide, and then doing the cold therapy with the Hush Hydrate mixed with the Bio Relief. It is just such a guaranteed like result. The skin
Mm-hmm.
always looks nice, plump, and hydrated. And the trade shows are a little bit crazy. Sometimes the estheticians, some of us push the limits. So they could be kind of treatment hopping. You never really know what anybody's had done to their face. So it makes me feel really confident in being able to work with this work with whoever, comes up. And it's just like a guaranteed beautiful result. So that one's my favorite at the trade shows because it's just proven and reliable and consistent with great results. In the treatment room, definitely Rare Mandelic is one that I pull for, but always Hush Hydrate with the Relief Bio Powder. And one of my favorite things is that you can use it for the cold therapy. It provides that great slip, but then you just massage it into the skin. I don't like taking products off after Rezenerate because, it's all about absorption and getting that delivery. So anything that I can leave on the skin and just massage in is something I really like with the treatment. But we've done so much. Incredible Enzymes is definitely my favorite enzyme, just period. So I use that in a lot of protocols with Rezenerate as well.
Okay. I mean, I love all these advanced tips. I have never tried Mandelic though.
It's really good. And sometimes, people get a little nervous with the acid serums and things like that. You typically they are more like a corrective approach. So you wouldn't do an acid typically in a first Rezenerate. And usually you would have the client experience the Mandelic by itself and the Rezenerate as like a hydrating treatment and then bring them together if the skin necessitates it. But Rare Mandelic, it's never an active that I have to worry about like being too much with the Rezenerate with that absorption. So it's always something that is comfortable as well because a lot of when you're increasing the absorption, you're also increasing any sensitivity or any sensation, I should say, not sensitivity, any sensation or activity that the client may feel. And so Rare Mandelic is still very, very comfortable for them. And I feel like I'm able to kind of take that treatment up a notch for them to get a little bit of a more advanced result. But their skin is not burning off. They're not itching. They're not feeling like little Pac-Man. They're really, really comfortable. And at the end of the treatment, they're not red. They're glowing, gorgeous, plump, hydrated, and bright.
Yeah, I'll take that over feeling like red and like blotchy after.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I'm more of a corrective space. Sometimes clients expect to feel a little bit more when they come in for correction, but they don't like my clients do not like it.
Yeah.
They don't want it. So I have, had to find other ways and it's not that difficult these days. I will say we've really, with the barrier support and kind of the more comprehensive approach to, or whole person approach to like treating the skin, I feel like we're really able to give people real corrective results without that painful inflammatory experience. And that's what my clients want. So both of our product lines, the Rezenerate and the Hail and Hush, work really well for that segment.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when I had my treatment room, that was one of my favorite treatments to do over everything. I mean, I love hydro. That's also one of my faves, but almost everyone I was using Rezenerate on and Hail and Hush. And clients would come back or I would follow up with them and they'd be like, my skin's so glowy even days after because it does increase that hydration. It's just instant results, which is great.
Yeah, they feel really good at the end of the treatment about themselves, and that feels great as a provider.
Yeah, and they don't feel like any kind of pain or anything like that. It's such a cool device that you guys have created. So when you're working on someone with sensitive skin, right? You want to focus on that barrier first. How long have you seen it take, if they're doing the right things, how long would you say it takes for their skin to improve before doing, say, a more advanced treatment? Usually like 2 to 3 weeks, even. Just like send them home with a good routine, 2 to 3 weeks, and then they can come back and do a treatment.
I was like almost scared to say it. I'm like, are people going to believe me? But it is because if you use especially by eliminating things and putting them on very supportive and reparative products, like the switch is very quick.
Yeah.
So I do think 2 to 3 weeks is what I see, especially if they're a compliant client. So if they are somebody who's going to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this routine, I'm tired of this, and they stick with it, I would say that is what I would expect for them to come in the second time. I pretty much expect to give them a treatment. Sometimes you have those clients who need a little help, and that's okay too. But then sometimes people have really done some work to their skin. I've also had clients come in where they've done a lot of damage to their skin, and they're seeing me and a dermatologist at the same time. And that's also fine. But what has happened is the dermatologist has prescribed like a couple things. And so that can sometimes affect the process. And usually it makes it take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think there's a common misconception that maybe we communicate with dermatologists. So, like, a client will go see a derm and then they'll go see an esthetician, but a lot of times what they prescribe us, they have to stop for a few days before even doing any kind of treatment on us. And I feel like there's also a lack of communication in that, like, oh, I can't use my tretinoin before coming in to get a chemical peel. You know, like,
yeah.
So I think if you're seeing a derm and an esthetician, it's always good to communicate with both of what you can or can't do to the skin, because you're playing with both sides. You know, we kind of operate very differently. But if a listener is unsure whether their skin is sensitive or sensitized, what should they do first? What do you think is the best option for them?
I'd like to, my initial reaction is go see the esthetician first, but maybe that is a knee jerk. The reason I say that is because if you do get on the prescriptions, kind of like you just mentioned, it could delay the treatment. And typically when people usually go to the derms first or very quickly after, and then they don't see the derms again for a while. So that makes it harder for the communication to happen. Where if they see the esthetician first, even if you're not doing anything, just like a free consultation, you could at least give them your treatment plan and they could discuss that with the dermatologist. However, because there are situations where it could be a skin condition or, you know, a sensitive skin, which may have like a rosacea, psoriasis, or something like that, obviously that needs to be diagnosed by the dermatologist and isn't something that we can diagnose. So I think you could make an argument to go to either one first. But I think what is more important probably is that communication that you discussed. So if you can see both the esthetician and the dermatologist and see them again, so to kind of bridge that communication gap, not just kind of see the dermatologist and then not see them again for 3 months while you're trying to work with the esthetician.
Yeah, I think it's important to know when to take a step back and see how your skin feels, and doing the right research also with who you're planning to go see and how they can help you, even if you're using any kind of prescription products. Because I have clients that go see the derm. You know, I don't mind, but I do ask that they work with me and they communicate with me to make sure that whatever treatment plan I'm doing on them doesn't affect what they're doing with their dermatologist.
Exactly. I would also add to say that if you have listened to this podcast and now you realize that you have sensitized skin, and it's not something that you've been experiencing your whole life, and you know it's more just recent, I would probably go see the esthetician first. Because in that scenario that I mentioned earlier, that story about my one client who had applied the charcoal mask daily, he went to see the derm and myself at kind of the same time, saw me, got a treatment, and then went to the derm right after that, and then got 3 prescriptions. So he, after that, you know, because of the prescription situation, I was like, you know, let's see how that worked, follow the dermatologist treatment plan for a little bit, because it was kind of too much for me to jump in with the 3 prescriptions. So I don't know how he's doing. I should probably send him a text and check in. He wasn't somebody I saw a lot. He had come in with the sensitive skin and then immediately had already had his dermatologist appointment booked after that. But I do wonder if he would have been better just sticking with the esthetician and with me, and maybe not perhaps being in a situation where maybe he's going to be on those prescriptions for a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, from my personal experience, when it came to my acne, when I had very severe acne, I saw the derm first. And, looking back at everything, I just, I was trying all the things already. I was like going to Ulta, I was going to Sephora, I was buying every single acne product I could find. And then I saw derm and they gave me even stronger topical prescriptions to the point where my face couldn't even handle water on it. Like water burned my face. Yeah. And then I saw an esthetician and she completely just she was like, you need to stop all of this and we need to work from ground zero. We need to work from step one. And looking back, I think, I was doing so much. I didn't even think to just take a step back and restart everything.
And no one tells you that, really.
No.
If you're no one says it except for the estheticians, really.
Right, because you just think the more that you do, the more it should work. And
social media backs that up. They're like, oh yeah, you need this, you need this. So I feel like that definitely makes it even harder to step back.
Well, Kelly, that's all the questions I have. So do you have anything else to add to the discussion?
My gosh, I don't think so.
No?
I just appreciate you. I know. No, I think I kept talking, I was like, actually, I have more. Let me say a little bit more. So I think I'm good, but I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It was, it's always so flattering and an honor to be asked to be a guest. So I really appreciate it. You've been a wonderful host.
Thank you. Yeah. We love having you guys. We love partnering with you guys. I think we're such a great duo, Rezenerate and Hail and Hush.
We are.
I mean, just everything we've discussed, you can use both of us on sensitive or sensitized skin. And so highly recommend if you're a professional looking into Rezenerate. And if you haven't booked a training, looked into the device, there's trade shows coming up. Their website is a great source of knowledge. And you collaborate with a lot of other brands too, not just us, right?
Yeah, the device is product neutral. Again, kind of going back to being supportive to the esthetician. It was a focus to be an aesthetic device, but also to not be another device that came into the treatment room and tried to rewrite what people used and how estheticians ran their business. So it was very important. Yeah, we just want to be very supportive. We don't want to come in and change everything. We want to just enhance what you're already doing and support your knowledge and your expertise and the product lines that you have spent the time and money and energy investing in and learning about.
What brand does that, honestly? Seriously, you guys are awesome.
You guys too.
Thank you.
It's a perfect pair.
It really is a perfect pair. Well, thank you, Kelly, again. Everyone, please look into Rezenerate because you can absolutely get results even for sensitive and sensitized skin. So thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
And there you have it, guys. I hope that we've been able to really help you differentiate between sensitive and sensitized skin. And remember, our formulations here are really designed with true sensitive skin in mind. Our products help to support skin that has also become sensitized from any kind of overtreatment or environmental stress. But our approach, if you don't know already, is really about reducing inflammation, again, supporting barrier integrity, avoiding unnecessary irritants, and building that long-term resilience for the skin. So not all reactive skin is the same. Sensitive skin, here at Hail and Hush, we believe is a skin type, and sensitized skin is a temporary skin condition. So make sure you know the difference, how to identify that, and that's going to help you a lot with treating your clients in your space. So thank you all so much again for listening to Hush Up and Listen. We love reading your comments. We love getting all of this feedback about our podcast. And we're only in March, guys, so that's only been 3 episodes. We still have the rest of the year to go. And next month, we're going to continue building on this conversation. We're going to dive more into seasonal skin shifts and allergic reactions because April is really that time, right, guys? I mean, I'm already experiencing it and it's March. So I'll see you guys then. Be well and spread some love today if you can. Share this episode with a friend, with a colleague that suffers from sensitive or even sensitized skin, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Talk to you later.